Old Smoky, Yellow Mama, and Gruesome Gertie were all nicknames for one of the most recognizable execution methods ever devised in the United States. None of those names caught on quite like Old Sparky, though. The electric chair became the main method of execution in the U.S. for more than 100 years. Designed specifically to take a life, there's no other option than to use it as something sinister. Like the guillotine, people in the United States were looking for an execution method that was more humane than hanging. Somehow, they decided that electrocuting someone to death would fit that description. It's a tale of people who have good intentions doing horrible things in order to achieve their goal, while not understanding the full impact of what they're doing. A tragic accident in Buffalo, New York marked the beginning of the electric chair's history. A drunken dock worker, George Lemuel Smith, died instantly when he grabbed an electric dynamo at the Brush Electric Company powerhouse on August 7, 1881. A dynamo was an electric generator that was eventually replaced by the alternator. Alfred P. Southwick, a dentist with technical knowledge, saw that incident and realized how quickly electricity could end a life. He teamed up with physician George E. Fell and Buffalo's ASPCA to run tests. The team electrocuted hundreds of stray dogs. They tested different electrode types and positions until they found a reliable way to use electricity for animal euthanasia. Southwick was a Quaker, and that background led him to see electricity as a better option than hanging because it seemed like people who had electrical accidents died instantaneously without leaving a mark. He spent the early 1880s writing in scientific journals to support that method. His calculations from animal experiments showed how the process could work for humans. The public had grown increasingly upset about failed hangings. New York Governor David B. Hill created a 3-member death penalty commission in 1886. Human rights supporter Elbridge Thomas Gerry led the commission, working with Southwick and lawyer Matthew Hale. The commission studied various execution methods and talked to experts. They chose electrocution in 1888 and used Southwick's electric chair design, which placed metal conductors on the condemned person's head and feet. The late 1870s and early 1880s saw electricity become a symbol of modernization and scientific progress. Arc lighting, requiring high voltages between 3,000 and 6,000 volts, lit up city streets as proof of state-of-the-art technology. New electrical inventions developed rapidly during that remarkable period of human ingenuity. People viewed electricity as the promise of the age. Electric lights and dynamos carried an aura of the supernatural while showcasing humanity's limitless genius. Like a modern Prometheus, electricity brought light, heat, and energy to civilization. That made it natural to employ the power for capital punishment. The public supported execution because experts marketed it as a humane alternative, certain, swift, and painless compared to hanging. People presented the execution method as a progressive step forward. Those who supported electrocution claimed that, quote, killing by electricity was almost the same as not killing at all. Courts allowed the practice after they determined it would be instantaneous and painless. It would quickly become apparent that that assumption was incorrect. The electric chair emerged during the infamous War of the Currents between Thomas Edison's direct current, or DC system, and George Westinghouse's alternating current, or AC system. Edison wanted to damage AC's reputation, so he organized public demonstrations that electrocuted animals using Westinghouse's technology. Edison claimed to oppose capital punishment, but he secretly funded the electric chair project and made sure it used AC current. The New York Medico-Legal Society recommended 1,000 to 1,500 volts of alternating current for executions. On August 6, 1890, William Kemmler made history as the first person to die in the electric chair. He was a produce peddler in Buffalo who had killed his common-law wife with a hatchet and faced his fate at Auburn State Prison in New York. The state had passed the world's first electrical execution law just a year earlier in 1889. What many believed would be a grand display of how well their device worked quickly turned into a nightmare. The chair received its first test as officials sent approximately 700 volts through Kemmler's body for 17 seconds. The current stopped, and witnesses found that there was Kemmler still breathing. A doctor yelled urgently, quote, "Turn on the current again, quick, no delay." The second attempt lasted about 2 minutes at 1030 volts, which made smoke rise from Kemmler's head. Blood vessels under his skin burst and bled, and witnesses said his body seemed to catch fire. The death chamber filled with the unbearable stench of burning flesh, and several witnesses passed out. The press slammed the execution. The New York Times headline read, "Far worse than hanging," while other papers called it a historic bungle and disgusting, sickening, and inhuman. George Westinghouse, whose AC generator powered the chair, put it bluntly by saying, quote, "They would have done better using an axe." Kemmler's lawyers challenged the execution beforehand. They argued that the electric chair violated the Eighth Amendment's ban on cruel and unusual punishment. The U.S. Supreme Court ended up rejecting that challenge in the landmark In re Kemmler case. The court determined that, quote, "Punishments are cruel when they involve torture or a lingering death," but assumed New York's legislature wanted to devise a more humane method. That 1890 ruling set a precedent that shaped electrocution's legal status for decades. New York's pioneering use of the electric chair led other states to adopt the execution method faster. People saw it as a technological marvel and a step forward in civilization. States started adopting the electric chair one after another. Ohio chose it in 1897, followed by Massachusetts in 1900, New Jersey in 1906, and Virginia in 1908. That established electric chairs as the main method of capital punishment. The practice continued to grow and reached its peak in 1949, becoming the execution method in 26 states. The District of Columbia, federal government, and U.S. military also used it. American authorities carried out 4,251 executions by electrocution between 1890 and 1972. The electric chair remained mostly limited to the United States despite its widespread domestic use. The Philippines became the notable exception and used the electric chair from 1926 to 1987. The country's most publicized case happened in May of 1972 with a triple execution. 3 men died by electrocution for the 1967 abduction and sexual assault of a young actress. The Philippines' last electrocution took place in 1976. Though it wasn't used again, the electric chair remained the method of execution there until capital punishment was abolished in 1987. Texas carried out the first lethal injection in 1982. That method gradually took over for the electric chair across the country. Lethal injection became the standard method in most places that allowed capital punishment by the early 21st century. Electric chairs in states of all sizes developed unique nicknames over time. Old Sparky became the most popular name, but a few states had others. Alabama's bright yellow electric chair got its name Yellow Mama after workers painted it with Highway Department paint in 1927. The chair was called Old Smoky in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee, and Gruesome Gertie in Louisiana. Botched executions throughout the electric chair's history have raised serious questions about its humanity and constitutionality as a method of capital punishment. Research shows that approximately 10% of all electric chair executions went wrong. Prisoners caught fire, needed multiple jolts, or died slowly. John Evans suffered through 3 separate jolts for 14 minutes while flames shot from his head and smoke filled the chamber in 1983. The situation was no better in 1997 when Pedro Medina's execution caused a foot-long flame to shoot from his head. The thick smoke forced witnesses to leave the room. Outside of botched executions, there's no way to know if the initial jolt of electricity causes pain or not. The original theory was that the electricity killed a person instantly, but that's not true. Then it was assumed that the jolt of electricity rendered the condemned unconscious, but there's no way to prove if that's true or not. Many believe that there is a period of conscious pain while the condemned is being electrocuted. The Nebraska Supreme Court changed its stance in 2008 and ruled that electrocution violated the state's ban on cruel and unusual punishment. The court found that electrocution, quote, inflicts intense pain and agonizing suffering. South Carolina's courts took similar action by making inmates choose between lethal injection and electrocution. Currently, 8 states, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Tennessee keep the electric chair as an alternative method. Tennessee has executed 3 inmates by electrocution after concerns about lethal injection drugs came up. It shows that the controversial method continues even today. Before we reach the exciting conclusion of this episode, I just want to remind you that we're trying to hit 1 million subscribers this year, so before you go, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Even better, tell someone else about the channel so they can subscribe too. Then make sure you both turn on notifications so you'll always know when a new episode airs. You can also support the channel by checking out our merch at thisismonsters.com. A link is in the description. Your support is appreciated, and be kind to each other. The electric chair stood as a paradoxical symbol of American justice for 130 years. Created with humanitarian intentions, its reality turned out far more disturbing. Southwick's experiments ended up failing to deliver the quick, painless deaths its creator imagined. The method's fundamental flaws became evident through many botched executions, but it really didn't need to take that long. The first execution by electric chair didn't work properly. Still, the creators of the device were persistent, and they made Old Sparky the main source of execution until lethal injection came along and took the top spot. Even now, though, the electric chair is still used from time to time because there have been issues with botched uses of lethal injection, something that's starting to prove that maybe, just maybe, there's no truly humane way to execute someone. There's always going to be a chance that something goes wrong and the condemned doesn't die a quick and painless death. Thanks for watching This Is Monsters. New episodes are uploaded twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. There are occasional bonus episodes covering unsolved cases in criminal history. If you have a suggestion for a case you think I should cover, leave it in the comments. You can always follow the channel on Instagram at thisis_monsters and purchase merch at thisismonsters.com. Thanks so much, and be safe.